Hello, I hope I don't look too bad in this video because I've tried to do it quickly, as I hope you should notice. This is the first one that I'm going to try at doing 4K 60 FPS, which is obviously a lot more data. I'm not sure on the maths behind the comp sci of it, but I feel like the added, obviously if I was doing the original ones at 720p, then 4K is obviously like a bit more than 4 times that, and it's already started quite boring, I'm sorry. It's like 4 times that, and there's twice as many frames, so it's probably 8 times the data. So I'm going to try and be very quick, of which I understand that I'm already not, because that's just how this works. But I figure all I've got to do is just remember to delete the video on my iPhone afterwards. And obviously that's not an iPhone sponsorship, as my good friend Dean rightly put. Shout out Dean again. But as this video is going to be called, and as I say all the time, it'll be a big indicator on whether I've actually gone through with what it's going to be called by the time that I get to the end of the video and I go and create a title and I change it, because the videos aren't that planned. I just talk about what I want to talk about on the day. And interestingly enough, this is actually something that I thought about yesterday, and I was going to do it. I thought, oh, I'm going to make the video about this today, but then I remembered that it was Storytime Sunday, which actually turned out to be a curse for once, because I normally think of it as being easier than other days because I can just tell a story and blah blah blah, and I don't have to, I say blah 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 a lot, and I don't have to actually explain something or think about something. It's just me telling a story that I do a lot of times anyway. I like to just tell a story, funny story that happened, like the New York one, for instance. That's a very funny story. So today's video is going to be called football, right? I'm pretty sure it will be. We'll find out at the end. Football. So my main points for today's video are going to be about the FA Cup, and I'm just realising now that I forgot to put in a little disclaimer. As you can see, I don't necessarily plan, I just like to go through, I was trying to think of some Latin name for that, like in situ, but that's not what in situ means, is it? No, I think that's something to do with displacement, because I learned that from geography. Right, so disclaimer. So the video is going to be called football. I understand now it's already going to be very boring because I'm like a minute in now. So it's going to be about football, but as I said in the pre-recording, which wasn't planned, but pre-recording of the last video, which was the Storytime Sunday of my daily videos, which I just mentioned, obviously, because I rambled on for like 20 minutes. I made this really good like product of a video, and then I realised that my iPhone cut out, which will probably happen in this one again. And I'll tell you what, if you're remembering that now, I'll keep this video if it does, which it probably could do, because if it's 4K 60 FPS, as I mentioned before, it'll be a lot more data. So that'll be funny, that'll be the famous in the future. People go, oh, do you remember Roller32's video when it cut out? That was so funny, haha. Well, so disclaimer that I'll put it in terms of that you can still understand it, and I like to think that there's, not philosophical, I'm not going to try and boost my ego that much, but philosophical in the sense of that's what it is, but not in the sense of it being very profound or meaningful, or people quote it in 2,000 years time like Aristotle and Plato and whatever. But today's video is going to be about football, and as I said, from the FA Cup, because the FA Cup was on yesterday. It was the very, I imagine will be famous from the time that anyone watches this video, especially it's famous now because it happened yesterday. But Marine played Tottenham at Marine's ground, and Marine are 8th tier, and Tottenham are obviously former Champions League finalists and, you know, very famous team, but Marine are like effectively nobodies. But they're a very close team to home. I live like down the road. They're based in Crosby, which is just outside of Liverpool, effectively, and I live in Southport, which is along the coast below Blackpool. Yeah, so it's quite close. I've been to their stadium before. That's always been quite fun because there's barely any people there. It's such a small stadium. And the other game, which I'm actually gonna be more talking about, or talking about something interesting that happened in that game, was the other FA Cup game, which was Crawley versus Leeds. Crawley are in League 2, I'm pretty sure. I haven't researched this fully, just from what I've seen, but I'm pretty sure I haven't got that wrong. They're in League 2. Leeds are in the Premier League as well, so it's a similar situation, but effectively Leeds, Tottenham, Crawley, Marine. So Marine are way more down in the pyramid. But so I'm actually not going to talk about the Marine or Tottenham game, but for the sake of explaining the story, because obviously I just said I like to explain stories, I was watching the Marine Tottenham game because that one was on. The Crawley Leeds one was earlier, but I didn't catch that one. But I saw on the news, social media, that it was the debut, which is the first game. So I'm explaining for all the non-football fans watching, and if you're a football fan, I've said in the FIFA video I did that didn't work that that's going to seem very derivative and obvious, but I feel like, and I've said this in my FIFA one, that I've got a lot of maybe Lego Star Wars fans who follow me because I've got a 14,000 following on TikTok from Lego Star Wars and stuff like that. And if any of them actually do filter through to YouTube, then they won't necessarily know what's going on. But that's why I find myself quite interesting, because Lego Star Wars and football is quite a big intersection for me, which it is for a lot of people as well. I'm just going to stop digging my own grave here. So basically, it was a debut for a 33-year-old player, Mark Wright, who, if you do know, then you know him, but I'm going to explain. He was television personality, that's the only way. I didn't know he was on The Only Way is Essex, Towie. But what a surprise, it cut out because I just ran out of space on my phone. So I've deleted a lot of videos, obviously. I wonder if you'll notice that I've actually dropped down the quality from 4K to HD, which I imagine is just 1080p. It might be 2560, but I doubt it. So I shouldn't have any problems now. I just checked that portion, so I ended on talking about how it was Mark Wright, television personality, 33 years old, debut, and now I'm going to... it's so irritating because I've already just said this, and I know that's the point, but I'm going to persevere, get through this, and then, and then that's the video. So, but you knew that, right? Oh, God, this one's been worse than any of the others so far, but we move, right? So, the fact that he's 33 is so interesting because I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned Vardy yet, but Jamie Vardy's a very famous footballer right now. Made his debut in the Premier League at like 27, might have been 28. I think it was 27 though. And the interesting point is that now I'm 22, right? And, you know, when you're at this age, you see loads of footballers coming up, like, you know, like look at Mbappe, like he's won a World Cup. He's like one of the best players in the world, if not the best. Probably isn't, but that's subjective anyway. But and then he's like younger than me. There's loads of like, and so they've already made it. And the older and older you get, having a dream like that. And if I haven't mentioned already, this is going to be like, I'm pretty sure I did because I mentioned in a philosophical sense. I mentioned, I guess, in a philosophical sense about how there's philosophical things that aren't necessary to do with football. And the main point of that is sort of, I won't change the title of the video. It's definitely going to be called Football, right? But it's sort of like, you can remember it as talking about dreams as well, if you actually remember this and you're a very amazing fan of mine. Because it's like, I very recently have had like, not the dream to be a footballer. I've not been like someone who has gone to a lot of football games. Like, I don't have a season ticket anywhere. Like, I've been to a lot of football games, but not like someone who goes like as a season ticket holder to loads of games. But I've always enjoyed playing football, and it's so hard to rehash what I've just said. But if you see on my right, we're gonna get through this. If you see on my YouTube channel, I uploaded the video called Rolodinho 1, and obviously Rolodinho is a play on words with my surname and Ronaldinho, the famous Brazilian footballer, needs no introduction. So Ronaldinho, my surname, Rolodinho. Which, as you can imagine, is the same place where Rolo 32 comes from. And so I've always like enjoyed playing football, and I feel like it's weird because I feel like I could be a really good footballer because I enjoy many aspects of the game that aren't just the skill that is in that video. And I didn't talk about this. Obviously, the structure of this is going to be completely different to the one that I've just done and rambled on for not too long as to when it cut out as the video I tried to do yesterday. But it's a learning process. It's more advice. In the last video, this that cut out, the one that you've already seen halfway through, probably less than half, I said, obviously I know I'm in no place to give advice to other YouTubers or whatever, but I feel like you don't have to be amazing at something to give advice on it. That's probably stupid. Forget that. But like enjoying football, and the main point is, not the main point, but one of the points that I've thought about is that if there would be, for whatever reason, loads of people who I've been to school with and have played football with, not at a big level, just like literally casually, like friends and like playing at school, they'll think, oh yeah, you were all right, but you never like super good, like to play like professionally or whatever. But so, and I understand that that's perfectly reasonable for you to think that you're wrong, but no, it's a joke. But yeah, I know it's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke, right? That so they're allowed to have those opinions. That's fine, right? I agree. It's all like, but I feel like, and what sort of makes it a bit pointless is everyone my age who likes football wants to try and be a footballer. But I just feel I've never had the opportunity properly yet. And one thing I mentioned, because obviously I'm just bringing out all the content that just didn't record then, irritatingly, was that I've never really played like a full 90-minute game, boots and shin pads, 11 aside. Like, I've only really played casually, and the interesting difference between that is I feel that I've had the confidence to be around friends and stuff who know that, like, I can do some good tricks and stuff, and have the confidence to, like, pass me the ball, for instance, because I've played a lot with, like, just people that I don't necessarily know, and people go, oh, do you want to come and play football with us? But that's, like, two of the people there, and I don't know a lot of the other people. And obviously, I'm different. Like I try to include like other people, and I know a lot of people say they do, but it's still different when you just don't know someone and you've got such like a close knit group of friends in a team already. But trialing's especially weird as well because you're just on your own, and I don't have that like support from like friends and stuff that know that I can play football or something, but that sounds like I'm saying like, oh no, I'm way better than you think I am. But it's a very interesting sort of dynamic, like the whole process of trialing. I shouted out a friend called Mikey who summed it up perfectly. He's American, he's over here doing a football scholarship, so he's he can play a bit, right? I'd say we're about similar level, right? But so yeah. Fair dues to Mikey, he's really good at football, hence why he's got a scholarship to come play over here from the States. So he is American, so it's a bit different how he plays football. But and I saw him in passing on the street, and at a distance I went like, oh, how's it going, Mikey? And I went, oh, I trialled for the university team, which I don't think I mentioned already. But so obviously the structure of this is way different, and in the last bit I must have done it the other way around. So I trialled for the university team. And I told him this, and he was like, oh, how'd it go? And I went, like, I was playing left centre-back, which is arguably, if you're not left-footed, the hardest position on the pitch, especially when you've got a massive 6'4" striker on you the whole game. Just didn't really go well, and I think it was more in my head of this continued process of, oh, it's now or never. Like, if you don't get into a team now, you're never going to keep getting up in football. You're just going to be left behind. You won't be a footballer. You'll get worse, but not necessarily. That's not what I would be worried about. It's just not getting the opportunities. And mathematically, as time progresses, your opportunities decrease unless you keep making them and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff going on now about, well, in fact, the whole point of the video and the fact that 33-year-old Mark Wright, a television personality who still is clearly quite competent as a footballer but wasn't known as a footballer, got that opportunity. And that's what gives me like hope that I could still work towards that dream, which not dream in that sense, but it's just something that, like, well, I guess it is a dream, but I say not a dream in terms of like I'm a super big football fan. Like obviously, if you look at any of my other content, I talk about Star Wars. I talk about stuff. You know, I've got other interests than football. Football's probably not even joint first. But I just think that I have got something to prove from playing football, which I can't just display straight away in a trial, for instance. But and so coming back to Mikey, so I said, oh yeah, it was bad. Like I just don't like trials, and he was like, no, yeah, man, trials suck. And I was like, yeah, like well said. Like they're just awful because it's like literally that same feeling of it's now or never. And so the main point of the video, which I'm going to end now, to try and keep it short, and I know that this one has been way more rambly. I've done better towards the end now, but I think I'm maybe more in the swing of things and less worried about it cutting out again, but I've still got that PTSD that I turned my iPhone around and it's not worked. But there's no reason for it not to. But I should probably have it on charge as well. But there is hope for it to still happen, and that's what I mean in terms of philosophical and not football related, because you know maybe you're someone who's just started a YouTube channel. Like for instance, I made a YouTube channel when I was like 14 or whatever in high school with a inflatable snowman that I got from Christmas, and did like a stop motion of it running around, and that got like, I don't know, a couple hundred views. Loads of people in school were like, oh, that video was really funny, yeah. And you know, you do sort of think if you just kept going with it, like for instance, even you've got football, but then you've got the freestyle football that I included in that video, which is obviously, I feel like my ball control is my best aspect of football, as opposed to, I've got a lethal pass as well though. Like I remember in lockdown, I went for, you know, one of your daily exercise things with my dad to the park, and fair enough, he's getting on a bit, he couldn't really kick the ball. But as I was passing the ball back and forth, and as we were leaving, right, this is a little story. As we were leaving, like off the park, I go, see that bin over there by the entrance, right? Watch this. And I was like 40, 50 yards out, and it goes right there, drops right next to it, like perfectly at someone's feet if it was a player. True story. I'm not trying to say that, you know, I can pass like Xavi or anything, but you know, you know what I mean. There's just jokes and blah blah blah. But so the freestyle football is that, like, I've been doing that sort of thing. Like obviously in lockdown, I was just going at it. I'd just go outside with the ball, maybe have some music on, and I'd record it on my phone and upload it. And I tried to make, like, you know, become like sort of a freestyle footballer with the pseudonym Rolodinho on Instagram, because I made an Instagram called Rolodinho, so shout that out as well if you care. And I've also got Roll32, but they're sort of in tandem. One piece of advice one of my friends, shout out Billy, said is that I'm sort of splitting my viewer base from, like, for instance, my Rollo32 account is linked to my TikTok account, but my Rolodinho one isn't. And I did try putting the Rolodinho, like, football trick style videos on TikTok, but they didn't really, like, boom, if you will, as much as my Lego Star Wars content did. So that's why I sort of felt like it's sort of a universal sign, which I mentioned in my FIFA video, which didn't upload, and that's why the last video, Storytime Sunday, is called Failure, because I failed to upload it, and hence I failed this one. But you learn more from your losses. You've just got to keep moving. And yeah, so I basically would think that me doing the freestyle football now, if I'd kept doing it when, say, like, people used to know me as like a quite skillful footballer in like high school when I was like 14 or 15 or whatever, if I kept practicing, you know, maybe I could be like a world champion football freestyler, because clearly I've got the natural touch, but it's just practice makes perfect. Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. But don't let your dreams be dreams. Shia LaBeouf, it's not all over, and that's the point of the video, that there's still more chances out there than you expect. You've always got chances. Like there's no guarantee that I won't not ever play for a football team, not as in like a professional football team, but in a football team, because I just want to play it, you know. But I feel like it's hard to get into. If you know a football team and you'd love me to play, then yeah, I'd happily do it. But that's the point, and I'll leave it there because it's definitely been too rambly, and I'm once again scared that I'm going to turn around my iPhone and it's not done. So I'm just going to stop before I waste any more time of yours or mine. Okay, thank you for watching.